Okay, so I've like to add to the pile of Glycine combat sub reviews on YouTube. So I've had this watch for 3 weeks or so. Got it on Christmas. Girlfriend gave it to me, which is very kind of her. So yeah, I got this watch on eBay off the Glycine Direct store. I notice now there's nothing for sale on there, but that's maybe just at this current time. I got this watch for $440 Canadian. So it's like $380 US, I believe, something like that. So for that price, this is an amazing watch. You know, if I paid $1,000 for this, I would not be happy. But for the price I paid, or for the price she paid, it's really good. So let's start off with the build quality. So I got the Glycine with a bracelet. The build quality is good. The dial is printed. There's nothing applied except for the sort of winged logo above where it says Glycine, which is cool. That's nice. The case is finished well. It's pretty basic, but the overall finishing is nice. And you can see the interesting design on the back there with the it says combat with the two seals there, so that's really nice. The bracelet is the weak point in the finishing and the quality for me. I was kind of unimpressed with the bracelet, honestly. It's not the best made. It's using clipping pins. It was very hard to size, I found. I had a very hard time sizing this thing, which most clipping pin watches are pretty easy to size, but this one I had a hard time. The finishing on the bracelet's okay. It kind of came with this sort of, you can't really see it in the video, but this kind of like, it's not finished that well on these on the shiny part here. And then when I left the label, the plastic on here for a week or so, and it just fell off, but it's got this sort of scuff there, so that kind of bothers me. But watching other people's reviews and stuff, I've never seen that on there. It wasn't me, so, or it's probably just mine maybe. But I wasn't, you know, I live in a different country than the United States where this watch came from, and it, you know, it didn't bother me enough to prompt me sending it back and dealing with the hassle. So one other thing too with the quality, this is stamped, no diver's extension. This is milled, I guess. One thing that bothers me is that of all the watches I have, this thing damages itself the most, right? Usually when you have these safety clasps, you move them back, they damage, make a little bit of mark. This thing, it's rather sharp right here, so maybe it's hard to pick up in the camera, but me being sort of nitpicky and OCD about this, it kind of puts marks into here, which, you know, not a big deal obviously, but you know, no one goes into buying something thinking, oh well, it's gonna have these problems, so I'm happy with that. No, for me this is an irritant. But yeah, other than those things though, it's a really nice watch. Let's talk design. Design's really good. I bought this all black version with a 24-hour dial. I like this one the best. It looks sort of the most tactical to me. I didn't want the sort of Rolex-esque hands just because to me it was too close to Rolex. I wanted something different. Not to say that this watch is a Rolex, but a Rolex homage or something like that, but the other versions of this have more similar hands, kind of Mercedes hands without the lines in them. So I got this version. I really like the looks of this one the best. The crown is really nice. It's big, okay? It's super easy to grip, super easy. It's one of my biggest gripes about some of my watches, Seikos and stuff like that, is I find the crown on, for instance, a Seiko Turtle, it's not big. I got big hands. This thing, beautiful. Turns easily, pops out, really nice. And then when you screw it back in, it's excellent. It's super easy, so that's really a big positive for me. The bezel is, of course, everybody knows, 60 click. Functionally, it works fine. Like, I don't see, you know, I got kind of thick hands, so it's a little thin, I find, to use. It's not the easiest thing, especially when you're wearing it. I find it a little bit difficult to spin, but that might just be my own hands. 60 click versus 120 click. I get it. I get why people don't like the 60 click. Functionally, it's fine. Like, it does what it's supposed to do. It's no problem, but it just doesn't feel as nice. You know, it's not as smooth. Like, take this Oris, for instance. You know, when you spin this, it's just smooth. That the jump between each click is nice. Is not as drastic, so it's smoother between it. It's a little nicer. It's a little more premium feeling, but functionally it really doesn't matter. This, you can time something just as easily on this. Yeah. So I also like how the date wheel's black. I don't really like when they're. I mean, I can deal with it when they're white, but when it's a black face with a white date wheel, you know, I like it just straight black. It's stealthy. It looks better to me, to my eye at least. Size-wise, it's 42 millimeter. It blew me away how thin this thing was. Like, you know, you watch all the reviews, people say, oh yeah, it's a real thin watch. But this thing, when you get it, oh, it's great. It's super thin. You can wear this thing under a shirt really easily. Size-wise, for me, I have like 7 1/4 inch or so, maybe slightly smaller, slightly bigger, depending on the day. And yeah, it fits so good. It's so good. You know, it looks great. You can see those hooks, how they kind of just, like the lugs, just hook around your wrist. It's really good. One thing too I noticed that people are complaining about, it seems like it's sort of hit and miss on which ones you get. Like, mine is brand new, and it's the you know, Invicta, post-Invicta model, and it has drilled holes. So I've seen videos where people complain about drilled holes, it not having drilled holes. So for me, I don't really care, because I don't really like watches generally without a steel bracelet. So I'll never take this off, but nice to have anyways. If you're into that sort of taking it off, it's really good. Accuracy, excellent. The movement in here, of course, everybody knows it's 28-24 ETA. I think it's regulated. You know, it depends on which video I watch. Some people mention that, some people don't. I can't really tell, but in any case, it's super accurate. Mine's like usually around -1 to +2. Most of the time it's +2, which is totally great. I would never complain about that. So, you know, hey, I'll be 2 seconds late for work, whatever, right? Not a big deal. So it's super accurate, really good. Legibility is also quite good. One letdown is certainly the Lume. It's not the best. These markers aren't huge. The Lume works, you know, it just doesn't last as long, but I find that most watches that I buy, you know, I'm usually not too impressed with the Lume. The Oris Lume is really good, and the Seiko Turtle Lume that I have is also very good, but the majority of watches, you know, the Lume is always the letdown. But overall, I think this Glycine Combat Sub is an excellent piece. I mean, it's just like the perfect watch to wear every day. I mean, even not every day. If you want to use this thing as your one fancy watch, because I mean, you know, $350 US for a watch, to most people that's very expensive, right? Like, you know, I told my mother or my dad how much this thing costs, and you know, to them that's like, wow, that's a really expensive watch, because you know, they just wouldn't spend that. Most people who aren't into watches can't justify that cost. So, you know, if you want this as your own one expensive nice watch, it's good. You could wear this under a shirt cuff too at work or something, or even in a dress setting. I mean, at this point in time, who cares? Only somebody who's a watch fan will be like, oh man, you're not wearing a dress watch, right? No one cares. So if you really wanted to rock this, you totally could. I wouldn't do it to a black tie myself, but that's probably because I'm a watch hobbyist, so you know, my inner self will say, no, you can't wear this, but yes. Overall, this is an excellent watch. I really love the 24-hour hand too, 24-hour dial. I mentioned that. I don't have any watches that have that, so yeah. 200 meters of water resistance, also really helpful. I'm going to try and swim with this in the ocean this summer. I live on the coast, so I'm going to try swimming with it. As of yet, I haven't. I've only basically washed it under the sink, but overall, this is an amazing. You know, all those little problems I mentioned, they're just nitpicky things, right? When you're wearing the watch, you never really notice that kind of stuff. But yeah, overall, it's really good. If you're on the fence about a Glycine, just get it. Like, people complain about, oh, it's Invicta. I mean, who cares? Like, the quality is good, you know. Nobody knows what Glycine is anyway, so the average guy or your family or whatever is not going to care that it's related to Invicta. Nobody knows what either of those things are except for watch people, so the social pressure of it being an Invicta, it's just a watch hobbyist thing, that's it. So, yeah, this is my Glycine Combat sub review. I appreciate you guys watching. I kind of just post reviews as I get stuff, so, you know, I'm not really super dedicated to this right now, but maybe I'll try and improve it in the future. I noticed some other channels have these too. Again, Watch On channel has like, he has had one a while ago, then he just got a new one now, so maybe check those out. But I guarantee you, if you've watched this, you've seen all kinds of reviews on this one. So, in any case, this is a Glycine Combat sub. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care. Bye-bye.